I'm going to tell you what your life is going to be like after you pay off all of your debt. Welcome to Finish First Financially. I'm Goran Radanovic. If you're in debt and it feels like this massive mountain that's looming over you, that you're never going to pay off your entire debt, I know exactly how you feel. I was in that exact same situation just a couple of years ago. I owed $40,000. And although that might not seem like a lot of money compared to what some people owe, just keep in mind that I was also homeless at the time. So I've done a whole video about how this happened. I went into detail, but just to give you a brief overview, I invested my money in a nightclub, which I thought was really going to work. And I had partners at the time. So I had no savings and I had debt. And I eventually ended up being fired from the club that I started. So having no money to fall back on and not being able to pay my rent, I got evicted. I packed all of my stuff into my car, parked my car on the side of the road, and lived in it. So I was homeless and $40,000 in debt. And I thought, well, how am I going to get out of this mess? Now, fortunately for me, a friend of mine helped me out with a place to stay. And then a couple months later, I managed to get a low paying job. And even though I was being paid very little, I still managed to save money. It was half of my salary of what I was making as an accountant. And when I was an accountant, I wasn't able to save anything because I was just spending money. So there was nothing left at the end of the month. So even during this period, while I'm trying to recover from just being homeless recently, I'm getting bombarded with phone calls from lawyers. They're threatening me with lawsuits. They want to take out garnishes. They want to blacklist me so that I can never have credit ever again. And I'm completely stressed throughout this period. I'm spending more than an hour every single day talking to a few lawyers, trying to make payment arrangements just to push them off, to delay the payments a bit so that I can get back up on my feet and start making some kind of payments towards my debts. It was my intention to pay it off, but I just needed a bit more time. And, I'm completely stressed. So I start paying off the debt somehow as my income increased. And I pay off the one debt and I feel so much better. And then I tackle the next debt and I feel even better. And, I paid off my credit card, I paid off the vehicle finance, but the bulk of that 40,000 was in the personal loan, which I took out for the nightclub that I opened. So I've still got this massive mountain that I'm climbing, but somehow I feel better because I'm paying it off. And I pay off the third debt and I just feel more motivated to keep carrying on. And eventually I get to the personal loan and I start paying that off. And it took me about 6 or 7 years to completely pay it off. There was about a year and a half ago where I paid the last lump sum, paid it off completely. And I felt like these chains came off of my neck, the proverbial chains, where I could just breathe easier. I no longer dreaded getting these phone calls from lawyers. I felt just so much better. And one of the things that I experienced, that one of the things that I really realized once I got out of debt is having complete freedom. That's one of the biggest benefits that you get once you're out of debt. Once you don't have any creditors to pay, you completely reassess your entire working life. I was working for a company at the time when I was paying off my debts, and I wasn't really happy with some of the things that they were doing. And once I paid off the debt, I asked myself, why am I working for these people? I don't want to be here. I no longer have a reason to keep working for them because I don't have this debt. And I decided to quit. And that's one of the things that will happen to you when you no longer have debt. You're going to look at your job and you're going to really ask yourself, do I want to carry on or do I want to go and do my own thing? And that's what happened to me because now I had this freedom. I wasn't tied to my desk because I had to go to work every single day to pay off the creditors. And I decided to quit this job and open up my own business. Now, if you want to do that while you're in debt, it's a much bigger risk to take on. You're less inclined to take on this risky venture while you've got debt. But if you don't have any debt, now you no longer have these payments that are going out to creditors. So you're able to save this money and possibly dedicate it to the business that you now want to focus on. And if for whatever reason that the business doesn't take off and you might not succeed in it, you don't have to worry about paying off these creditors while having to deal with a business that has now completely went belly up. So that is one of the most amazing feelings that you'll ever truly experience once you're out of debt, is freedom. And I realized once I got out of debt, because I had all of this extra money that was now coming in and staying. That's why it's extra. It's not going out. I realized that the more money you have, the more freedom you've got. So now I had this savings that I could kind of take a risk on. I could do certain things that I wasn't able to before because all of this money was going to the creditors. So I felt I had more freedom. I could pursue business ventures and I could do something that I really wanted to do in a long time, which is the second benefit of being debt free is investments. This is a massive thing that I experienced once I got out of debt. I could now focus on growing my investment portfolio because going into investments, whatever that may be for you, whether it's stocks or real estate, is very risky if you've got debt. I went into investments while I had this debt thinking that this investment is going to go up. I'm going to cash out when it's up there, when I've made a big profit, and I'm going to use that money to pay off the debt. Unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. The investment went down and I was losing money on it while I still had this debt. And that was really not a good position to be in. So the ideal position to be in is not to have any debt. So thereby you're able to dedicate more money to the investment. And if for whatever reason the investment doesn't work out, you're not crushed financially because now this has failed and you still owe creditors. That's a very dangerous situation to be in. I would never be in that situation again. So with an investment, you obviously, I went in with now I'm going in with the mindset that I can only invest the amount that I'm able to lose. That's how you look at an investment. And when you don't have any creditors to pay off and you've gone into an investment and it doesn't work out, it's not as big of a deal as if the situation was different, if you still owed people after having an investment that's really gone badly. So two main things that you're going to experience once you're debt free is freedom, massive freedom, true freedom. You don't have to be in debt for the rest of your life. It is not normal to just keep on taking out debt, paying off one and then taking off the other, taking on another, and then eventually some people even die with debt. That you don't have to go down that route. Once you pay off your last debt off, never take it again so that you can feel true freedom. And because you now are no longer making payments to creditors, you've got more savings, which you may want to dedicate to your investment portfolio so that you can truly grow it without worrying about owing creditors if the investment doesn't work out. So if you need any more help with this, get in touch with me at finishfirstfinancially@gmail.com. Come onto the show for a free consultation so that we can look at your income, your expenses, your debts, and we can structure a plan for you so that you can get out of debt to build savings and eventually go on to build your investment portfolio.